Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
And this week we're going to be talking some Pokemon TCG Pocket. We've talked about that in the past a couple times, but I think it's been a bit, right? We talked about it, I believe, before it came out and immediately after. So we've had about a month of play in Pocket, so we get a better sense of how the game works. Starting to get a sense of the in-game economy with access to things, although it's still early days there. Just to me, one of the big challenges is to get cards to build the decks I want still. But it is a collectible card game, and collectible card games, time is a factor in that. So it hasn't been that long. If you compare it to live, obviously, it's tougher to get cards than live. But if you think back to Pokemon TCGO, like within a month of playing Pokemon TCGO, you would have probably had zero of the top decks. And as I was looking through like the top tier list preparing for this podcast, I right now have about half of the top decks, which is actually pretty good all in all.
Yeah, and honestly, like with Pokemon TCG Live, if you just start as a new player early on, it's certainly not like it's not free to get all the decks. Like in Live,
Right.
if we're playing, we can just get all the stuff we want, really. Outside of like a few really niche examples. But then with like if you're just a new player, you can't really craft stuff so easily because you don't have extra stuff. So you will struggle at the beginning as well.
That's true. I mean, you get like a Charizard deck to start that's pretty good, and you can probably within a couple weeks say complete that to a top tier Charizard deck. But then it's one deck for a bit. So, the question is going to be with Pocket, where does it go long term? To what extent is it accessible to budget players? So far, I think it is. What's going to happen? I think mid-December, I'm expecting a mini set to drop. So what's that going to be like? And then we'll get a full set, I think, in January with trading, and what's that going to do? So that's stuff we'll see. But all in all, I think the game's pretty fair. And then the events are definitely part of it that we need to talk about as well. But anything else on the general economy you want to say?
I mean, with the decks, I've heard a lot of people complain about the economy in Pocket. I don't think it's an issue. I've been free to play, and a month in, it's like I have the stuff I want. There are some things that I don't have that I would like, and that I'm trying to acquire in Pocket. I have looking at the top decks, I have Mewtwo and I have Pikachu, and I have parts of the Charizard and like Starmie decks. I do have Blaine's. I have the Arbok Weezing deck, and I don't have Venusaur. I guess like here it says that. Okay, I don't know what like some of these decks are, so I'm gonna skip past some of these. Like I kind of know what they are, but I feel like they're not that good. But yeah, I have like a good chunk of the good decks and like EXs. That's really what it's focused on.
Right.
And there are some like some rare single prizes that I don't have that I would like as well. Like the Greninja, which we'll talk about in a moment, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wasn't gonna. Yeah, the top decks, I kind of similar to you. You're a little bit. You have both Pikachu and Mewtwo. I only have one of those, so we'll talk about what decks they are. But all in all, about 50% of the decks pretty close to the state they should be, and some slightly suboptimal. We'll consider that as well. But all in all, I think it's pretty accessible. What's frustrating is first off, when you want to play a deck, like I want to play Pikachu EX, and I don't know if and when I'll ever get to that because the cost to craft those cards is really high, and luck based. Who knows if and when I'll ever pull Pikachu EX, right? So that's the frustrating part. And then the other thing, which I think gets frustrating for the economy, is the Wonder Pick system, which is important with the economy because it does increase your odds. But if I see a Pikachu X, I spend my three hourglasses to get it, and then I probably don't get it, right? 80% of the time I fail. So it's a system that you're gonna fail the vast majority of the time. So it kind of lends itself to frustration, unfortunately.
Yeah. The winner pick systems, it's kind of whatever. It helps out the economy. Obviously, I'd rather have them than not have them, but it is kind of annoying at times. It's kind of good. I don't know. But then also you have the fact that pulling duplicates feels like really bad right now. Like they're
Right.
essentially, yes, they can get you the like flares. Although even then, if you pull enough duplicates, then you can't get any more flares. I'm pretty sure. Like you can get all the flares, and so at that point you don't need extras. But also, it's like the flares aren't. I don't think really. I don't care about them at all. I think most
Yeah.
people don't care about them much. I haven't heard anyone be like, "Oh, the flares are so good." I've heard people say the pulling duplicates is really annoying and really bad, and I think so. Like they are going to add in trading at some point, and
Right.
they're going to slowly implement that. I think some people are like really scared that they're going to like do it badly, but I don't know exactly how they'll do it. Obviously, it's supposed to kind of reflect the ideas behind IRL trading, which is a more casual and fun thing among friends. But then also like Pokemon TCG Online, it wasn't that at all. It was just the way to acquire cards. So we'll see which direction they go through. And accommodating both would be good. I don't know what they're gonna do. There is like the friend system in Pocket, but like you can never. There are some friends that are people that I know, and so that's kind of cool. But then there are some people like you can send friend requests to random people, just play, and
Right.
they're not like actual friends. Like these are people and you can't like talk to them, which is a free chat would be bad. Um, there are a
Yeah.
few like newsletters, right, or like update things.
Right.
Um, and one of the ones is about people not using just the names right when there's some bad stuff there. So certainly with a free chat feature, that would go quite badly, as we have seen. I think in the past with PTCGO, and I mean usually all over the place. And so Pokemon's obviously not going to add that, but right now like the friend system is just kind of I don't know. I don't know too much. Like I can't really say much about it. It's kind of nothing so far, in my opinion, which is
Right.
okay. But
Yeah, I mean the friends might come into play with trading. We don't know. Look, and they are trying to make money with this. We know that, and I think, and that's fine. They're trying to
and
strike a
it's important that they have to make money to put money into it as well.
right, because in one sense, we see with live, part of the problem with live is it's not monetized, so there's not incentive to put the resources in to make it better, right? So, and that so Pocket is not that. Now, is it going to be at this point? It's not overly monetized. I don't think it's not pay to win. Will it become that? That's obviously a concern. We'll see. But so how are they going to control the trading? I don't know. And also, they don't want people to because you can easily set up multiple accounts on multiple devices if you have a phone and a tablet and such. And they don't want. I don't think they want you to be able to trade. With between multiple free accounts, which some people would do. So that's something they have to stop. So I don't know. We'll see what they do there. The one thing with friends, it does allow you to like each other's whatever no binders and whatever that stuff is.
Yeah.
Well, it's part of the economy though,
No,
right?
yeah, I was trying to think what the other thing was.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of
binders
weird. Well, it's
and
only kind of part of the economy
displays.
because you can get thanks, and
Right.
we can get 5 per day in total, which could come from battling as well. So
Right, and battling's better because that gets you points towards your leveling up, which is part of which is important.
yeah,
Unlike live, where leveling up doesn't do much. It does more now that they've gotten rid of coins. Right, you get crystals at least, but it's still not a lot. So,
yeah. Oh, our coin's gone. I haven't even been paying
well,
attention.
coins they're gonna be gone. So if you haven't spent up to you want to keep 5,000 coins because they'll be get converted at a ratio to crystals. But above 5,000, you're going to lose. So buy any deck boxes and coins and sleeves that you want because that's going to
When's that
cost.
by?
I think it's like in a couple weeks. I think it's sometime in December. So mid December maybe. So
Yeah,
so anyway, I've done that. I have a full set of I have all of them. So hooray there. So
yeah. Oh, and you said with Pocket because you can't get on your like computer. Well, I don't know if you can, but like if you have to have multiple devices, I feel like that's not as big of a thing. Like I don't have multiple devices. Like some
mhm.
people do, but most people don't have like when you say
Well,
multiple, like two is like not anything um absolutely like absurd, but having like a bunch where you can get like a ton of value all the time, I don't think. Well, I guess even if someone had two, that's still doubling their theoretically could be doubling the amount of like resources they could get, which obviously isn't what you want.
right. I
So,
mean, like at this point, I happen to have a phone and I have two tablets. And if I could
oh
have free accounts, I know I'm big time there. I mean, they're cheap tablets usually, but then you'd also like keep your old devices more around and just have a free Pocket account that I would just log into and open the two packs twice a day, right? And if I had like 4 or 5 devices, just which isn't good having that cluttering up your life, but you would be, it's a way to build your collection. They don't look, they don't want that though, is what I'll say. I don't,
yeah, mhm.
because obviously, look, this is about money. So the part of it, and it's not just about money. I don't mean to say that. So I don't. We'll see. We know there's going to be restrictions to trading, and that will grow. So, and the other thing is, which I'm glad,
Well, the restrictions will reduce, right? The trading will grow,
right?
right?
What cards you can trade are going to be restricted, and they said those restrictions will. reduce. I don't know if they're ever going to go away, that you can trade any card, but we don't really
Yeah,
know
I
how.
don't think you want it. And also Pokemon TCG Online, and we talked about this a bunch off camera, where Pokemon TCG Online's trading was really bad.
Yeah,
I think if anyone used it, then they know it was really bad, um, for various reasons. And Pokemon TCG Pocket, like Pokemon doesn't want that happening, to
yeah,
to Pocket. And Pocket's supposed to be a casual thing, and in lives trading, that was horrible for casual players because, it was really just awkward and inaccessible. And essentially, people are just getting like scammed all the time by, like veteran players, which is bad. Not like it's not like most veteran players are doing that, but there were some who were, and there
yeah.
was, and you could post as many trades as you want, and there's just like this list of all the trades, and it was really big and didn't work well. And so even if there was something like that, but it worked better, it would still have flaws.
Right. It was a system where a bunch of people were trying to. Some people could take advantage of new players. So, and obviously in Pocket, they don't want that with Pocket. So there's a lot of factors going into this. So time will tell how trading works, but that's going to be important to access cards. But like I said, if we can get a month in, which means we still have before the next. We have like 2 months before the next full set drops almost.
But
So
we don't know the difference between the mini sets and the full sets.
we don't.
So I feel like, or we don't even know what the new main set will look like. Like it'll look presumably more similar to Genetic Apex than the mini
Right.
set will, but we've only seen one set. Well, no, that's not exactly true. We've seen one main set, then we've seen promos. So what do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Can we talk about the like promos and like the events now?
Yeah, let's talk about the events. And there's three types of events, right? Just to start things off, I would say. And I know you have different opinions about what's good and what's bad, but there's the event. There was at one point we had three events going on. They had the Lapras EX event that was very important, I think, to getting some cards because the Lapras EX was a new card and a useful card. Um, and then there was the what were the three going on? I'm blanking at the moment.
So yeah, there's a Lapras DX event in which you played solo battles to acquire cards and various different things. There
Yep.
was the, I don't know what it's called, but like the Meowth Chansey one in which you would wonder pick, and then there were challenges that were like regular challenges which were evolved essentially around the wonder picks. And most of
Yes.
the wonder picks were free and they were quite constant. And we've also had and yeah, and I guess we'll talk about the new ones, later.
Right.
And then, you had the third one, which was the emblem event. There were some
Yes.
challenges focused around playing the game against other people. It was in a specific, like a separate. Is that still going? That's done, right?
Right, that's done. All right now, all we have is
It's the Venus.
the Venusaur thing, and right now, and we had right. So, but we had the solo battles. They're battles versus other players to get emblems, which
Yeah, and there were challenges to encourage you to. You had to battle. You had to win as well.
yeah, and then the Wonder Picks, which had the free ones, and then I think some you could pay for as well. So to me, of those, it was the Lapras event that was the one that got as a player. Those are the ones to get good cards. The one to get emblems don't whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? I mean that's
Yeah,
my emblem.
but as a play, emblems only matter for players. I think because I don't think you see emblems on, like if you're a collector. I don't know, but I feel
That's
like
true.
emblems matter for players. I don't really care that much about them. I think I have one emblem equipped, which is like the lowest level, the one you need like one win for or something. And that's it. I think it
Yeah.
actually looks the best. I like stuff kind of simple at times, but then, you can like get there are different ways to get them. The emblems, I don't remember how many there are. There's like 8, 9, or 10 or
Right.
something like that. But, um, then the, Lapras one, like, they're appealing to different aspects of things, which is cool. And all three of them were somewhat player focused. The one you had to play to do it against other people. The one you could play up by yourself. You could auto battle.
Yeah.
And then you do get cards for playing. And then the last one is the Wonder Pick one, which is less player focused. But I do think the Meowth is a decent card. It's one I played some. Um,
Right.
so the other one's definitely least player focused.
Right. I mean, for I had two copies. I think of what there was the Meowth
Chansey.
and the Chansey, and I had those already. I think you didn't have the Meowth yet, so it got you
Yeah.
the card. Similar to we'll talk like with the new event right now. I got a card that was already in the game, but I didn't have two copies of it. So they do help for sure. But
Yeah, with the Lapras one, we had some new cards. So the 5 cards were Butterfree, Lapras EX,
yeah.
Pikachu, Clefairy, and Mankey. Also, I'm on Limitless, and they already had these like before they were revealed. So I don't know how they know these. They might be like from somewhere
Yeah.
else. I don't know. They're just here. Um, but anyway, so those are the 5 in that set, and the Mankey is new or was new. The Lapras EX is obviously new as well. Lapras EX is like a solid card, though it's very similar to Articuno EX, which is kind of boring. They're definitely different. They have differences, but like
Right.
they're not that different. They're both basic water Pokemon, same weakness, same damage output for 3, same HP, and some differences. But
Right. To me, the Lapras is useful because I had the 2 Starmies in the Misty, but I didn't have the Articuno. I still don't, unfortunately. I'd rather have that, but I have the Lapras EX. So, like you said, it's very similar to the Articuno EX. So, I can now. So, I'm playing Lapras, Starmie for one of my decks. So, it did help me build a deck that I wouldn't have otherwise, which is nice.
yeah, I think this card's fine. I would like to see more. Right, we're going to talk about how like the cards are kind of boring right now. I think a lot of people kind of think that a lot of people were expecting them to be boring at first. They looked really boring. I think they're a little bit less boring than they originally seemed, but the game's, in my opinion, getting a little stale. And adding new cards is what keeps the game fresh. That's a big way. Like that's like right now the regular Pokemon TCG. There isn't really much news going on, and that's getting boring. In Pocket, there's some, but still not that much, and so the game's getting a little boring. And so with adding new cards, we'll talk about the single prizers that are new. There are 3 of them, I believe, and um, they add something, but the EX are the meaningful cards. Lapras is like the most meaningful card they've added to the game, and it's pretty bland in terms of like it could have been. Um, there aren't any darkness and metal EXs, right? So it could have been one of those, or I get they want to include like the 151 Pokemon, but still, I mean,
Y- Yeah. Well, I mean,
they
like,
could have done something more.
well, the Lapras event also included the Mankey, right? That was a new card as well, the new attack that works
Yeah,
with the Primeape. Unfortunately, I don't have Primeape yet, so I can't play it.
yeah,
But
I've played it some. It's okay. It's not that good, but it's a nice addition and is an interesting card. The Mankey itself and the Primeape.
yeah, it's nice they did it, and it's fun playing the event for like a day or two, is what I'll say. And then you're just playing against the computer, doing the same stuff with the same deck all the time,
Yeah, but you
basically.
can auto battle, and that's what I've done, and I just kind of like let it run. Um,
Right. And the
in
other
fact, I might do that now.
as we record the podcast, great.
Yeah, I could just open my phone, move it aside, and that's it.
And the other thing is, potentially one of the reasons to do it. First off, you want to get 2 copies of each of these just so you have them, if you don't already have them. But also, we don't know what trading's gonna be like, so having extra copies is good for trading potentially still, right? So I think just getting copies of cards is good still. So it's worth taking the time to pull as many of these cards as you can, even once you have 2 of each. And I'm at the point with the current event where I think I have 2 of all of them except one, but I already have that one with the regular cards. So, but I'm gonna keep doing those to just keep getting cards because I think it's worthwhile. Plus, I get shine dust, right? And we all love the shine dust.
Kinda. So you can get shop tickets.
Yeah, shop
Which is
tickets, which are very good too.
I don't know if
Um,
they're very good. They're like
well,
you can get your stuff.
it's important for the economy, right? You
Um,
need shop tickets.
I
That's how you.
guess why
Well,
for the
to get
for
the
like the
hourglasses,
research.
to get
Or,
packs, and to get wonder picks. Um,
yeah, that's useful.
so anyway, time will tell there. Should we talk about? So we talked about the 3 types of events. We had the Lapras event that was good, and we had. You want to talk about the fire event, whatever that thing was
Um,
called, or
I
you want to
actually
do
want to
something
talk
else?
about the what is it, the emblem event. So the
Okay.
other thing that is going to presumably happen with the emblem events right now is just get a certain number of wins, but it's going to be
Yes.
win streaks. They said that in the game, and I've heard some people say that they think 5 is what it's going to be.
Hang on a
Um,
second. Hang on. So what I heard, listening to one of the Pokemon Pocket podcasters, I mean video people, he said he already has the video set to go for the win streak event.
the
So I don't.
video, what's
He
that
already
even
has
mean?
recorded the video. It's ready to drop. He's just waiting for the date when it actually happens. So I don't know how people find out this stuff, but I assume they're telling the truth about that. So
Yeah, yes, that seems very impressive. I guess I don't know, but. Anyway, so if it's five, I think five feels like good. So I heard some people really complaining about that. Um, Second, I haven't actually heard anyone complain about it, but I've heard secondhand someone said that they saw other people complaining about it, and I think that's fine. I feel like that number feels right.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing with the win streak event, it's going to push you to play your top deck, right? Like, so you have a Pikachu deck, and you're just going to play Pikachu. My
Yeah, but I've
top
mostly
deck
just been playing Pikachu
is
as well.
Mewtwo,
Uh,
which I kind of hate playing, and it's also inconsistent. So I don't know if I can get five in a row
yeah, I
with
mean, I
that.
don't think V2's. We're gonna talk about what the best decks are, and I don't think. I mean, I think V2 is good, but I don't think it's the best deck.
Well, it probably isn't, but it still might be the second best deck. I mean, I could play
Yeah, but
I mean, we'll talk. I mean, I have like Starmie, I have Marowak, I have Blaine, and I have like Arbok. That's kind of what I can choose from. So you
without
know,
Articuno EX in the Starmie EX deck.
Yes, exactly. So, and and that's probably not going to change. I'm opening Pikachu packs, but maybe I'll pull some Pikachus, but probably not. You pulled your third Pikachu today, so
I did.
which of course until there's trading is useless. So,
Yeah.
um,
But anyway, so then with the Venusaur, or no, we'll talk. What should we talk about the fire one first?
yeah. So, do you have it called up or no? I have it here
Yeah,
too.
so I got it on PokePeach, and you could get a bunch of cards that weren't very good. To be honest, so the cards. There's like the bonus picks, which are free, which you can get. You could get shop tickets, pack hourglass, and wonder hourglasses, which are all worth something. They're certainly good to get.
Yes.
And then Blaine, Rapidash, and Ninetales are kind of like interesting. I don't know. Ultimately, Rapidash is something everyone probably has. I believe that's in all the packs. But then Ninetales is worth something. That's a card I was kind of hoping to get.
Yeah.
And Blaine, as well as the shop hourglass, pack hourglass, and wonder hourglass. So there was some value with those bonus picks versus the other ones, which were just Meowths and Shansies. I think they had Wonder Hourglasses, but Pack Hourglasses are probably better. And then the rare picks, you could get Arcanine EX. I think I saw, I don't know. I didn't get an Arcanine EX. That was a challenge to get an Arcanine EX. And I was like, I don't really want this card because it's not that good. And then Charizard, Moltres, Ninetales, Raptors, Charmeleon, and Blaine, which are okay. But I don't know. It's like something, I guess it's better than the last one with the Meowth and the Chances, which are pretty boring. But
Yeah.
um,
I mean, two things. First, the Blaine's deck is a solid deck, right? So if you don't need pieces for that, that's good to get. The Arcanine EX obviously isn't the best EX, Fire EX, right? They could have given us something better, and you had to spend, I think, Wonder Pick stamina to get to do the Arcanine EX. I think it was three for that, just like any pack with an EX in it. So it probably wasn't the best usage of that. So that wasn't great that regard, but they're setting us up for the Venus, the fire, the grass event right now, right? So you could put together, really, everyone could put together a Blaine's deck to run through
well,
this new
I don't know. I
challenge.
feel like I don't think I actually got all the Blaine stuff from this challenge. I got like two
No.
cards for it. Like you only see Ninetales from time to time. I suppose if you're using your rare picks, you can get it more likely, but the rare picks, as you said, aren't like really something you want to be going for with this, outside of the fact that it like gets you stuff for like the challenge. But I think that the honestly, these cards aren't that like the Blaine stack is good. It's good, but you don't get the full Blaine stack. I think it was like a week long challenge. So it doesn't like so the next event I guess we should just talk about is the Venusaur event where you battle against the Venusaur decks.
Right.
And wait, is this what this can't be what's in the deck because there's this stage one without the basic. Anyways, um
Okay. I
so
mean, look, the first deck, again, I think it's four tiers. The first deck, the beginner deck, and I looked at what it was after. You can look at it before you play, and I didn't really bother doing that. But the first deck is 18 Pokemon and two Pokeballs. That's
oh,
the list.
okay.
So the beginner deck, you better beat that, right? I knew the deck wasn't that good. I didn't realize the deck was that bad till I looked at
And I
that.
think the Pokemon aren't very good either. I don't think it has an EX. I don't think it has a stage two.
No, it does not. So, and obviously it's a lot of evolution, so it's probably not going to set up or do anything at all with that deck.
Yeah. But anyway, so they get progressively harder, but also like fire stuff is only kind of useful against them. But like obviously the best fire deck is Charizard, Moltres, right?
Yeah, which I don't have and you don't have either.
No, which I don't have, and it's not giving you. I feel like they should have given you like that because Venusaur, like you're not necessarily beating Venusaur EX with the Blaine stuff.
No, I'm playing Blaine's
So
with it. Look, I'm playing Blaine's and I'm winning 75, 80% of the time anyway. The
yeah,
biggest problem I have, and in terms of the special, you get a pack to open with one of the special promo cards. but you don't always get the pack. Always get a pack if you beat the hardest level, whatever they call that.
Yeah.
So the harder decks give a better odds to 100% of getting the pack, which is good. And even up against, so I'm just playing the hardest deck now, and I am using Blaine's and winning it. Plus, you do need to beat the grass deck for some of the things with, a non-EX deck, like 3 diamonds or less deck. So obviously, the Blaine's deck is the best way to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I'm playing. As I said, I was playing the auto battle, and this is like so bad. The auto battler. I mean, it's not super terrible, but um, yeah. Anyway,
okay.
just wanted to say that.
And the other thing is, the weird thing is for one of the challenges, you have to put the Pokemon asleep. So,
Yeah, that's weird. You get the Jigglypuff to do that, so I did it, and then I quit. So, because if you lose, you don't use up one of your things.
yeah, you don't,
But
right.
you can still do the challenge. So
Yeah, and I have a Greninja Frostmoth deck, so I just played that, and I should have probably quit, but I just played through and win. I don't think I'll have a problem getting all the rewards from it anyway, so I'm not
yeah,
too worried. So anyway, I think they gave you the fire so you can do this challenge. The rewards for it I think are interesting this time. And I was saying beforehand, so it's a Venusaur event, so it's got a new alternate art Venusaur. It's not a new card in terms of the attack, and I don't know that Venusaur is all that good, but it is a special art, so that's the only way to get that is through this event. And I don't know if they're going to allow you to trade for these special promo cards or not. That could be a restriction as well. But then they're giving you two what I think are viable cards and two other cards that have new attacks. So it's pretty nice there. They give you you can get Greninja, which I didn't have two Greninja, right? That's got the word.
yeah. I think Greninja's good. I think Greninja's on a similar level to Butterfree. Greninja's probably a little better, but I think they're kind of comparable. They're new arts to these Stage 2 Pokemon with cool abilities,
Yeah.
and yeah,
So that's a nice card to get, and I'm glad I got that. And they give you Onyx, which I believe is also a 3 diamond card. I don't remember, but either way, right? That's got the support, or what is it, Brock that goes with that?
Onyx is a 2 diamond card.
2 diamond. Okay, so it's cheaper to craft, but I didn't have it, and at some point I'd like to try a Brock deck. I don't think it's gonna be very good, so I don't want to spend resources to craft that stuff. But so I didn't have Onyx again, so energy acceleration. Is Brock an energy accelerator? I don't forget what it
Yeah,
does.
yeah. Accelerates. I think it's 1 to 1 of your
What
Onyx
Onyx
or
or
Golem.
yeah, so it's not look so, but it's a okayish card. Greninja's better of those two, but then they gave a Haunter and a Jigglypuff, which I believe are both new cards with new attacks. So the Haunter
Yeah.
now you have a
Well, you said
Haunter,
new card. There are Jigglypuffs and Haunters, and there's one of each in the game, and they are both
right?
pre-evolutions. You're not playing them for themselves, presumably, but you could.
Right, but you have different attacks with this that are potentially the way to go. Right, Jigglypuff now is a 1 energy attacker that puts your opponent to sleep, which if they can evolve out of it, but still you can attack for 1 energy. That's a plus. And the Haunter attacks for 1 energy. It's on a coin flip. It does 50, so it does more damage if you hit heads, or it does nothing. So it's swingy, but sometimes
Is the
swingy.
other one 30 for one?
I think it might be.
Yeah, yeah, it's 30 for one.
So it's right. So you can do more damage with 30. You're not going to one shot anything. There's some things with a 50 you might take a prize on. So it gives you an interesting question of which way you want to go with the deck.
Yeah, I guess
Look, I think
it's
for
not like that interesting, but
no, but look for the Venusaur deck. I think that they've given us the Venusaur event. They've given us better cards to get from
yeah, I mean, I
than
think the Mankey is more interesting. I'd say, like the Mankey and Jigglypuff kind of go together.
yeah,
The Butterfree and Greninja kind of go together, and I think the Mankey is a little better than Jigglypuff. Though, I don't know, Jigglypuff is playable in different things as like this disruptive early game stall-based attacker, which could be good, though I don't know how good it will be. And then Butterfree and Greninja are kind of comparable. As I said, I think Greninja's a little better. And then well, I think Butterfree is an okay card, but it doesn't seem that much play. And
right.
then
But we had the
Greninja's,
but we had the Pikachu and the Clefairy with the Lapras event,
yeah,
right? And they were just reprints. I mean, new arts, but
yeah.
not a new attack and not very good Pokemon. So it's not like you were looking for that to complete a deck, nor did it add anything to the game. So I think it's a little. Look, I think it's fit.
Yeah, I think it's better. I think the Pikachu and Clefairy are worse than the Haunter and the Onyx. And yeah.
What they did though is the chase card, right? The chase card the first time was Lapras, which was a new card. The chase card here is the Venusaur, right? But it's an alternate art. It's not anything new. So the chase card was better with Lapras, but the other four cards are better with the Venusaur. It's probably where I.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, it just helps to get decks and get collections. And I guess I said at the beginning, it's about trying to get cards to have different deck options because part of it is the gameplay is limited. It's simple intentionally, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The games don't take that long usually, as long as my opponent doesn't go away from AFK, which still happens, right? And maybe on the phone sometimes more people flip to another app. And then I play Sabrina and I sit there, unfortunately. Not too often, but sometimes.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but look, it's just getting cards to have deck options, right? Which is a slow thing. But now I have a lot. I'm getting more deck options in the last week or so. So that's the nice thing, and it does make the game better when I don't just have to choose from one or two decks. Now I have like 5 or 6 reasonable decks to choose from, and that's a nice thing.
Mhm. So we'll see what how many card like events they add. Like, it's the events aren't adding a lot of new cards. They're just
No.
adding a few, and like they're really adding. We've seen within the first month, we've seen one major new card in the Lapras EX, and then the Mankey and Jigglypuff are more interesting than the previous ones. Like the I don't remember what the I don't even know what the other Jigglypuff did, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 30 for 2 colors. The Mankey, I believe, was 20 for 1, and they had 60 HP. The Mankey and Jigglypuff have lower HP, more interesting attacks, definitely. And the Haunter, I guess, is more interesting. There's not that much more interesting. I've said this before. I don't love coin flips. Do you want to talk about coin flips now, actually, and randomness in the game?
Sure. I mean, coin flips are a bigger part of Pocket than the regular TCG at this point, I would say. Obviously, one of the starter decks is Marowak, which is what I have. And that is just, really coin flip dependent. The other, the grass deck is also a coin flip deck, but not as much so, right?
Yeah, the Executor EX, and I haven't seen that as much. I think Executor EX is all right. Like, I don't know, I felt like Marowak EX isn't great, and Executor EX is I don't know. I haven't played it, but I do want to play it.
Yeah, I mean, right, but so Marowak's okay. Obviously, you flip 2 heads, it's insane. I've leaned into the coin flips with that, and because I'm playing it with the
Doug Trio.
Doug Trio, yeah, which I figure. Well, I also want a one energy attacker, right? Because energy acceleration, without energy acceleration in the game, having one energy attackers, I think, is important to me. So having the attacker, and also it's another coin flip, and you're immune to damage, and is it effects of attacks? I forget. Prevent all damage to it, and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. So it's not just my opponent can't switch out of it too. So it's actually pretty. It's very good half the time. So as is Marowak is good half the time. Actually, Marowak you kind of sometimes need to hit 2 heads, so it's really good a quarter of the time.
Yeah, Marowak EX. I feel like in terms of coin flip decks in the regular Pokemon TCG can be fun, but they're fun because they're not super crucial to the game. A card like Pokemon Catcher or Crushing Hammer is
Yeah.
almost never regarded as fun. Crushing Hammer is annoying, but that's partially why. That's a big part why. But Pokemon Catcher is really insane when you flip heads, and obviously completely useless when you flip tails. So a card like that feels super swingy. Marowak, or it just feels swingy, and it doesn't feel like it feels like what it's supposed to do is a gusting card. So when you flip heads, it does what it's supposed to, and when you flip tails, it's disappointing. So there's no like really exciting outcome. There's just an okay outcome. With Marowak, I think there is like disappointing outcome and exciting outcome and a kind of doing what it should outcome, which feels okay. I think Marowak EX is like a little like it. I'd rather see. I like Executor EX more, I guess, because it does a more consistent amount of damage. But
Right.
I think with coin flips, you're looking to flip lots of coins, or no coins. But I think you're not looking for just a few because if you flip lots of coins, then you can have really exciting moments. And Misty, when you flip a bunch of heads, even if it's my opponent, and they flip like 8 heads, I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. Except that you don't really get any value out of any more than like 4 heads at most. You're probably not even getting value out of 4 heads. Or maybe 5 heads if you're doing like Blastoise CX and haven't attached any energy to the Blastoise or something. And there's retreating, but like you're not going to use 8 energy. So you don't get
Yeah.
actual value out of the lots of heads. It's funny to flip lots of heads. It's also usually with attacks like that. It's like, oh, you flip. Like in that regular TCG, there's stuff like there's a Maractus deck I know, and there are a bunch of decks like it where you just flip a bunch of coins, and you might flip 10 coins, and then you have the chance to get like 10 tails or 10 heads or a bunch of heads or a bunch of tails. But with Misty, you don't have the chance to flip a bunch of tails and have that kind of funny moment. Like you're not going to all of a sudden flip 10 tails because you can flip only one. Something like Zapdos, you actually flip 4 coins. I do kind of like with interesting coin flip stuff, except for the fact that Zapdos EX is only played within Pikachu EX, or it's predominantly played within that. You could play it by itself. You could do different things, but ultimately it's mostly
Right.
played within Pikachu EX, and within that deck, it's just this kind of secondary attacker where you're looking for something something consistent. Some mad swinginess is nice with that to be able to hit like one shots, but ultimately, I don't know. Zapdos CX, it could be cool with like lots of coin flips, but within context, I feel like there are just a lot of things with card design that I'm like, oh, these are okay, but it could be done better.
Yeah, I mean coin flips, and you also you skipped the Moltres EX with its
Yeah,
coin flip
Moltres
as
CX,
well.
I've not really had issues with in terms of like, I haven't had moments where it's felt bad playing against it. Um, I feel like I don't know, maybe it's just luck. Like I feel like Marowak EX, I flipped a lot of double tails. Um, and
Yeah.
with playing against Multi CX, I feel like my opponents have almost always flipped 1 or 2 heads, which is a usually flip, but it's probably like um 90 to 95% of the time they flipped 1 or 2 heads, at least in my experience. And I feel like Multi CX has felt better.
Ye-
Something like Misty just feels really bad because half the time it does nothing.
Yeah, that's true. It'd be better if they picked a number like three or something, and then you flip three coins with Misty or something, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I mean that'd be obviously better
it
than
might
it
be
is
too
now.
good, I
Two,
guess. So, or you flip two, right? That then you're gonna
yeah, if two's the same odds.
it's basically kind of how it is now, but you're gonna hit one little more consistently, right? So,
Hmm.
that would probably be fair. The other thing is, as we're doing this event, the Venusaur deck, the Venusaur event, I keep playing running into Kangaskhan, and I'm playing my Blaine deck. So they're if they hit, I'm usually going first, and I usually only get one Pokemon to play. And if they hit double heads, I lose immediately. So
Why are you usually going first without any other Pokemon in play?
that's just because I think the event hates me. I think it's rigged, right? I don't. That just seems.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just what it feels like. Maybe it's not true, but it just. I think I certainly had a streak like where that just happened a lot. So,
Okay.
um,
Um, that has not happened to me, and I've been playing the same deck. So, um,
but anyway, there's a
LSU.
lot. There's a lot of
What?
coin flips in Pocket. I think more than in regular TCG. And also, most of the coin flips are attacks. They're not trainers, except for Misty. I think so. I think it'd be better if some more are trainer based. If they want to have more coin flips, it just seems a little bit
I don't know. I
better.
feel like Misty's probably my least favorite card in the game in terms of card design. And I think I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of people don't like Misty. Some people do. It can be funny and can create funny moments, as I said. But in terms of trainers, I feel like are cards that are supposed to be more reliable. I don't like though, Pokemon TCG Pocket. The cards are, more simple and straightforward, which is in some ways boring, but whatever. But one of the ways they've only spiced it up in a few ways, and one of those ways they've done consistently is coin flips, which I would like to see them do things more like interestingly. Like I think you look at Ninetales, you're just cutting energy. That matters a lot. But then you look at something. I'm just scrolling through. You got Moltres, and it does 100 on a coin flip or nothing. No, it does 130 on a coin flip or nothing. That's absurd. That's like
Y-
knocking out almost anything or literally doing nothing for three. So that's crazy. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Like it's probably too swingy, Melody. So I think I don't think
what,
they're good.
Misty?
I mean Misty. Sorry. Yeah. Thanks. Um,
Similar cards, similar
it
cards.
is. Yeah. Similar vein, but yeah, the one is in Pocket. The one right there is no Melody in Pocket as of now. I don't think
All
so.
the trainers are the supporters in the Gen Ag Apex are all the Gen ones,
Okay.
gym leaders, and then the other ones are, oh, there's only one other one, which is Professor Oak or Professor's Research. And then one thing that's kind of interesting, so the discard pile, right? You got a discard pile,
Yes.
which you can interact with, and you also have like energy in the discard pile too, which is kind of weird. Um,
Well, yeah, but it shows it separately than the cards, right?
it does, but
So
it's so weird. Like the discard pile is a thing, but I don't know. Hopefully, they'll have some interaction with it. And I think you could say, because I was thinking Misty, because on average it's accelerating one, I'm pretty sure. Um, but then, like, if it just accelerated one every time, were you saying that might be broken?
well, I don't know if it'd be broken or not. It would certainly see more play, right? And you could
I mean,
have
Misty's a lot of play. I feel like if you're playing Water, you're playing Misty.
yes.
Even if it was worse, you'd still play Misty because
Yeah, I
But
mean,
still basically good.
that the problem is it is too swingy, right? Like my top two decks is Mewtwo, and obviously you got to get Gardevoir evolved, and that's very swingy, and you have really essentially no search for evolutions, right? So that
Mhm.
very
Yeah, I feel
limited.
like Meowth's a cool card, like drawing one. There's
Yeah.
some cards, a few cards kind of like it. Not that many cards, but Meowth is one. And I do like Meowth, but the game is like the EXs just overpower it. And so, like the EXs have been, I wasn't expecting EXs when the cards were revealed to be this good. I was expecting them to be okay. Um, but you look at something like I don't know. I mean, like the best EXs are Pikachu EX. I guess Mewtwo EX, like Mewtwo EX is only it's noticeably better than regular Mewtwo, but the first attacks on the EXs, having two attacks, generally having one that's cheaper and doing some poke damage early on is really big, and that's something I
Yes.
wasn't expecting. That's able to overpower single prizes at times. So some cards that are like more setup based that would allow you to get set up more consistently, um, and have like more because with Guard One Mewtwo you set up and you kind of just win, or you don't set up and you lose. That's an oversimplification, but that's kind of true. And you'll have a few turns to set up, and you're not drawing lots of cards. So you either look at your opening hand and it's like, oh, I got this, or oh, I don't.
Yeah, in a sense, they've kind of gone along the same lines as the regular TCG. That it's these rule box multi-prize Pokemon are dominant, which I don't like about the TCG. They've made single prize decks very difficult, right? There's just a plethora of single prize Pokemon they print, most of which are just bulk garbage. A few of which are kind of viable, but it's hard. There's not many that are truly viable, and they're kind of doing the same thing at Pocket. It seems like, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then the single prizes, there's this like no EX thing, which I tried once. I
Yeah.
might try it twice. The first game I was getting stall, like a grass stall back where they were just like healing, and I was like doing no damage, essentially. And so I was like, this isn't fun. Like, it's not. I was like, I want to try something different where we have these weaker attacks, and because now it's like, oh, my opponent's just gonna like destroy because of these weaker attacks. So the game's not really, and this might be a bit of a problem because no EX format could be interesting, but ultimately, if the EXs are good, the Pokemon, the single prizers, the best ones will be balanced around the EXs, and then they won't interact properly with each other anymore. So then we see this in standard where there's some like if you play single prizers, I'm pretty sure there are some broken cards. Like Lost Zone just like destroys everything because it just eliminates all your opponent's bench Pokemon. And like spread attacks are kind of insane at times. I'm not super familiar with single prize formats, but that will cause issues with other formats if the standard format, the regular format is just like, and right now there's only one format. There's only a few cards, so I don't think seeing an extra format would be is something that we're necessarily looking for right now. I do want to try like a cube draft in Pocket. It's kind of weird. I want to obviously need to do it with cards that people have, and there's a limited number of cards, and I don't know, but I do want to try that out at some point. But I don't know if it probably won't be super interesting either.
I mean, obviously, you've got to do an online draft format of some type, which is challenging. And
Yeah,
there
they're
are
out there. I want to use untap.in, but which you can use to draft, and I think I don't know if I've done it, but
okay.
it works okay. But it doesn't have any of the pocket cards, so you can manually add them, but I haven't really been able to get that to work. I was able to add some other cards, but for some reason I wasn't able to add the pocket cards. I might mess around with that, but um, if anyone actually has a way to do online to do a pocket draft, presumably online in like a web browser or whatever. That'd be interesting. There was a Google Sheet thing, and I knew the Google Sheet thing's like really really sketchy. Like not like sketchy as in like it doesn't work very well.
Yeah, I mean, one problem is assuming if you want to play the game in Pocket, they're really outside of some trainer cards. There's no cards everybody has, right?
No, but there's the cards in the shared pack, like in all the packs that most people
Yeah.
have, ignoring like the secret rares, because obviously
The
that's most people don't have those. There's in fact exactly 50 cards, going from the trainers from whatever the special set, the promo A thing, and then the shared cards. There's, I believe, 43 of them, so there'd be 50 cards. You could do a four-person draft. Each person gets 25 cards. I think that would work okay. Um,
I
you can't.
guess
I
the
don't know. There's some limitations, but I think that'd work all right.
I mean, the problem is I just opened up Pocket here. I have 195 pack points to craft, so even if I had to maybe craft one single diamond, I might do it. But anything beyond that, I'm just gonna quit probably because I don't because these pack points are very hard to come by. They're very
Yeah, no,
precious.
they are. But I have like 5 or 6 of essentially all the shared pack cards. So,
Okay.
um, you
I'm
just go in and say like, "Oh, I have all of them."
okay. I mean, if you should probably provide a checklist then
Yeah.
beforehand if that's what you're gonna do, because I have no idea. I guess I might because
You know, I
obviously
wish there was a way to sort by it, but I don't think you can. I was looking at that. I wish there were some ways to like see what was in what packs without having to go to a third party resource. I use Limitless and it tells you and it's useful,
right.
but ultimately it's not what I'm looking to do. Um,
Yeah,
Really, I'd rather there are games where I'm like, oh, what does that Pokemon do? Okay, this is a little different, but there are times when I'm like looking at my opponent's Pokemon, and I'm like, what are they gonna do to me with their attacker, with their like evolution? I need to
yeah.
like go look up in like some other place.
Yeah, look, there's things in Pocket that have to get better. Um, actually, viewing the cards isn't good anyway because in game, I mean, because if an action's taking place, you can't do anything. And a lot of game, and I have a very hard time. In some games, it seems like I can't look at my opponent's cards ever that are in play. Um,
Yeah, and then also if they play a trainer and it's like Sabrina and it says like and that tells me to switch on my Pokemon, I know it's Sabrina because that's it. But the Sabrina isn't on the board. Or if they're playing Pokeball, the
right.
Pokeball is not there. It's nowhere. It literally just disappears and it reappears once they finish it, which is like kind of confusing. I'm like, oh, my opponent's doing something, but I don't know what they're doing. They could do doing. There aren't that many options, and it's usually something you can figure out. But if they add more cards, then I won't know what's happening.
Right. And and when that's happening, you can't like if you have to like if even if I'm knocked out or something, I cannot look at the battle log at that point. I can only
Are you sure? There's
I'm
like a button. There might be like an I
maybe
button or
I'm
something.
wrong. Yeah, but
It's not like explained though. They have the tutorial, and the tutorial's like super easy. But there were actual things like I believe effects of attacks remove when you retreat, and I don't think it says that. Um, and things like that that just
yeah.
aren't really explained. Which there are a lot of things that could be better with live. It's not perfect, and it has flaws that'll hopefully be addressed. But they haven't really addressed
Yeah.
anything. They've just done a few events, which have been kind of something, but not that much. Barely
Well,
something,
I,
and that's it.
look, I mean, at this point, we're just getting our right. We're all just building collection, unless you're someone that had paid money and now you're waiting for new cards to drop so you can spend another couple $100 probably.
But also Pokemon wants to appeal to the people who are spending money. And I feel like I'm still
Yeah.
kind of waiting. Like I want to see new cards as well. And I think you want to see new cards,
No, I
maybe
do,
from the events. Like
but
if the Lapras event had 5 new cards as opposed to just 2, that'd be
I
cooler.
I think two new cards in a special event, and then if we're getting like a new set or mini set that basically every month, I think that's enough new cards. Part of it is look,
I think that's fine, but I don't think we're gonna get a new. If we get a new set every month, I'll be happy with that. But I don't know if we will. I think like if they do the same schedule as the regular TCG, that's a little slow. Like it works for the TCG, but to me, because I'm someone who really likes looking at new cards, I mean, like custom cards because they're just cards that are interesting and unique. I like the schedule is okay, but that's because it's staggered between the Japanese and international release. So I get to see the cards like a while before they come out, and then we get some tournament data on the cards that I'm playing in, and then I get to play the cards. So there's like 3 different phases as opposed to just the reveals and then playing with them. Or with Pocket, it might just be they're out and you just start playing with them and stuff. And there's only one like thing, one phase with a set coming out.
yeah. Now for me, I just my primary focus in the TCG is what cards are available at that time, right? And I'm primarily
Yeah.
playing online and live, and I don't really care too much about what's going forward because I have enough to worry about with what's in. I want to work with the stuff I have, so I'm not so worried about that. A lot of it's just we're early days. We don't have a lot of choices yet. You've complained that it's a little vanilla when we've talked to with the attacks and stuff, but
What do you think?
I think it kind of is, but I think it's appropriate. I'd rather it be a little too plain than be too crazy at this point.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, because complexity will get added. A big question is what are they going to have for trainers too? And I'm not sure what the whole trainer schedule is because the trainers are a lot of them are these promo cards, right? They're promo A. So is that like for a year block or is that when the next main set comes? I assume we're not going to get new trainers with the mini set, although we don't know that.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if we get something like we've had some different. So the promo A trainers have all been. So Professor's Research and Pokeball, they're in every deck, right? You put 2 of them in every deck,
yes.
and X Speed and Potion are in a lot of decks,
Right.
and red cards in some decks. I've not been a fan of red card. I mean, I think its design's okay. I think its design is some ways almost required to mean that you shouldn't just always hold cards in your hand. Oh, and then there's a hand size limit. Have you ever, right? There is, I
Oh,
think.
that's right. It's what, 10 cards, right? So,
Yeah, I've never ran into that.
right, and I don't know how it works actually. If you have 10, do you not draw for turn or
I
can,
think that's it.
so, or is it like 10 at the end of your turn? I don't know how it works at all. So like if I had 10 cards and I play research, so I draw one card, I don't know. I guess I should try to, maybe we should have do a friends match and just try to
Yeah, maybe
build
we
up
should try
huge
that at
hand
some point
size.
because I like that seems bizarre to have rules that never come into effect. And it's like Nosada's like this is never going to come into effect, and in games it's never come into effect. It's not. I'm like I forgot it existed. Just I don't know why I remembered, but because we were talking about red card, I guess. And then you have Pokédex and Handscope, and Pokédex and Handscope are very underwhelming cards. I think Pokédex, like there's an actual Pokédex card in the regular TCG as well. A lot of the cards have parallels in the TCG,
Yeah,
and you rearrange your deck, which is cool and interesting. Ultimately, not something you want in Pocket because it's kind of long and ultimately not super meaningful, but it is a cool card.
right.
But Pokédex has almost no value, I feel like, and then Handscope has like some value. I think hand reading is actually a really important part of Pocket right now. Figuring out what your opponent might do, and based on how they're playing, their sequencing of actions, their speed of play, their I don't know, just different things to figure out what they have in their hand, what their game plan is. That's an important part of Pocket strategically that you don't have in the regular TCG. You could have in the regular TCG, but yeah, they could play anything. Like there are so many options. There's like thousands of cards in
Right.
standard, I think, and in Pocket there's not. There's 200 cards or whatever, 250, two something, and
Yeah, but we're
yeah, like 300, I guess.
right. But eventually it's going to grow. You're not going to know all the cards in format, I assume, unless rotation is too rapid. The other thing is it the because look, they're looking to monetize the game. People that spend money want to get new cards. So if they're printing new cards too fast, then it's going to become pay to win, which, right? Because you're just never going as a budget player, you're not going to get the new cards fast enough. So I think
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe like I think this set's really big. I'd like to see it almost like the Charizard pack, the Mewtwo pack, and the Pikachu pack. I almost wish they were three different sets. We got
yeah,
one first, and then another one, and we got it maybe every 2 weeks. We get a new pack of the like new thing. Each of those would be like separate, and then we get
right.
those. And I feel like that might be a bit more interesting for me. So then I don't know. I like stuff. I like stuff fast. I like
Well,
stuff exciting. So
well, maybe they're
yeah.
going to change things. But again, this was the first set, so maybe they kind of did make this three sets, right? We don't. I don't think we anybody knows how big the next main set's going to be either, right? Um,
No,
so maybe they'll slow down because as
I don't know.
yeah, some people know things that we don't, obviously. But because I was thinking back to parallels to the TCGs, you're saying that like this main set here is kind of like a international main set, but that's actually usually like two Japanese sets. So it'd be better if they split it up, kind of like the Japanese IRL sets, right? Would be a
Yes.
little more
One
fun.
issue with smaller new sets is like smaller new sets more spaced out is when a new set comes out, you want to play the new cards, right? I really want to. I
Right.
think you want to a little less, but you do, and lots
Yeah.
of people do. And then so they'll do the new stuff, and then people will just be playing the new stuff. And so on ladder, if you're playing, if instead of like pushing it to the extreme, you could say every day like one new card or one new evolution line is coming out, but everyone would always be playing that new like evolution line that day. So you just see the same like you just see everyone would be playing the same deck. And if it was just a week and it was like a quarter of a set, then people just try and be playing instead of like Pikachu EX and Mewtwo EX and Charizard EX all being played as like arguably the three top decks. I think the water stuff's definitely up there, like Starmie EX, and I'd put that above Charizard EX personally. Then you see these different decks, but if it was just one set, then like Pikachu comes out, everyone would be playing, or you'd see a lot of Pikachu. You wouldn't see like Mewtwo to the same level if that has been out for a little while. So in some ways that could be like a bit of an issue, but
I
I
mean,
don't know, I'd like to see them try some new things as well.
well, first, look, they haven't been around, they haven't done it that long, and they're still collecting data, right? A big part of their collecting data is to figure out how to make money off the game too. I mean,
It is. I mean,
so
there's a lot of things they're collecting.
um,
Like it is money, but money it comes from keeping people interested in it
yeah,
to spend the money.
No, so the game hasn't happened that long. So like card design, they're still trying to, it's I think considering they just started this to a mass audience, it's pretty good. They did have the beta, but the beta was just to make sure the game worked. They didn't I really make any substantial changes. They didn't do any card changes, I don't believe, as a result of the beta, which is better, right? That they didn't. So,
I
um,
guess I was wondering what they were gonna like. So we didn't play in the beta.
right.
But like we heard stuff about the beta, and I don't think what did they? I think they added some like the Mewtwo sleeves or something. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that, but I think that's new. But that doesn't really matter to us. It might
Right.
matter to some people. But
Well, it
yeah.
would
Also the. All right, never mind.
I mean, it would have been bad if they had cards that only people that were in the limited beta
Oh yeah.
had access to, right? So that wouldn't have been a good thing, and it also wouldn't have been great because I'm trying to
They
think that
could have like changed. Well, I was thinking they could have like rebalanced cards.
they,
That's kind of what I was expecting. Or they could have removed cards.
the problem,
They could have added cards, and I think like the beta is just a testing thing. And if you're playing, okay, it's not. I don't know if it wasn't called a beta. It was called like a
no,
soft or something,
yeah,
like soft launch. But if it was like a beta, right? So if I'm just gonna like say it's a beta, and when you like play a beta, like when we were playing live beta, um, we kind of knew that they could make like they could make like all sorts of weird changes as
right.
well.
But hang on, but one thing with this beta, unless I'm misremembering, you could spend money, and people spent money in the beta.
That's true.
So you
You
don't,
could technically, you could like kind of spend money on live though, but also I think you like if you're spending money on something that isn't I don't think they were, I don't know, I would say they weren't like hiding the fact that it's a beta, but they kind of were. So
yeah,
it was
but
kind of weird. Like I think as you said, it was just to make sure it wasn't catastrophic failure.
right.
Um, yeah.
So look, I mean, the gameplay is fairly balanced. I think all in all, their decisions for not searching the deck is correct because it does. I think it would be problematic. I think there's a decent pace of play with it. I think the 20 card deck, the two copies of a card, prize points instead of prize cards. I honestly, I think all in all, they made a solid set of choices.
They did. I think the timer for the turn is too long.
Oh yes,
Well, I don't know. Like theoretically, using the whole time could be right if that's what you need, but I think it should be like I don't know. I don't think you should be able to sit there for a minute and a half and not do anything, and then I don't know. You shouldn't just be like. I think the action. I think there should be an action timer, and theoretically, you could spend a minute and a half on an action, and people do that if they just AFK, and then the game eventually ends. But
right.
and again, sometimes that happens, right? On a mobile game, you might have to
You know,
I don't know. You might have whatever
you have
something
to
good
do something
come up.
else in life or you lose service if you're like in something moving. But yeah, if someone goes AFK, you have to at least wait 90 seconds for them to time out. And I don't remember if the game keeps going at some point or if they get booted out. I don't remember how
Yeah, I
all
think
that
it'll
works.
end your turn, but then you could get booted out during your opponent's turn as well. And I think like people aren't like live people are kind of toxic. I think
Yeah,
people aren't super toxic in Pocket, though they're not like it's not like they're never toxic. Or I don't remember. I think there were like some people do the like attack and they like kind of wait around and then quit. Admittedly, there are times when it's like, oh, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do, but if there was a time when it was happening a decent amount, but I don't think it's been that bad. Versus something like live where it's kind of annoying. You said people would regularly AFK, um,
yeah.
like
Look,
when they're losing and stuff like
I
that.
mean, live is much more toxic. Well, first off, live is bad. That doesn't help.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
think that hurt. I think that's a big part of why. It's like I definitely have been. There have been times I've been getting annoyed with live, and then it's like, oh, and then I get like more annoyed at my opponents. Like normally, it's just I love Pokemon, right? I love Pokemon. That's why I do it. But live can annoy me, and then that like just makes me in an annoyed mood. I'm sure that's true for others as well.
Yeah. And the emotes in live are generally toxic, right? There's not, I mean,
Yeah.
I would like to, at end of a game that's a positive, good, well played out game, be able to say good game, even to an opponent that whether they win or lose, if it's a good game, I'd like to be able to say it, but you can't. And honestly, I've been playing like what I was like playing Sarah Ledge, and somewhere halfway through the game, I start getting thumbs down. I was playing Arctina. You might not like that, but they were playing Charizard EX. So, and then
You know, I
like
feel like who doesn't like Arceus Giratina? Who's like, if it's like someone asks, what are like 10 decks you don't like? Like no one would say Arceus Giratina because no one even plays that deck, and it's not even that good. It
Yeah.
doesn't hit that hard. It's not like super tanky. Um,
So it's
yeah.
just very, I just get really annoyed when that stuff happens. And obviously, I don't know what they're going to do in Pocket, right? Are they going to add that? I think they're probably not going to, but obviously there's going to
What emotes
yeah,
or
emotes or some type of interactions like that. Um, it tends to be negative, right? So I think they're not going to. I
I guess
haven't.
I played so obviously so I played some Marvel Snap.
Yeah,
You haven't have you
I did a
played
little
any
bit
Marvel?
early on, but not that much.
Yeah. And you like this a lot more than Marvel Snap, right?
Yes, I do. I
Okay,
do.
yeah. And so I don't know if I do. I mean, I like Marvel Snap though. You didn't like Marvel Snap.
Right.
It's not me knocking Pocket. It's just Marvel Snap was cool. And it's different. But anyway, so Marvel Snap had emotes essentially, and they were like, obviously Marvel is a brand. Pokemon's also a brand, and Pokemon
Yes.
TCG Live doesn't really work with the Pokemon brand. It's just like but it's separate as well. It's company stuff and various things. So Pokemon or Marvel Snap had emotes that were like based on like there's like the Spider-Man meme and there was some a bunch of different things and there was like Thanos Snap I think was one of them and it's like oh these things that are like kind of iconic and it's not like I mean if you're spamming it that's like annoying but whatever and I think you can mute your opponent which you can't do in live and then
Right.
you might be able to mute all your opponents just say like okay I don't want to see that and then you could not and then you could have some fun experiences through that and live doesn't do that but I think they're just like possible and it's not like something that'll be that unhealthy either. So I think they could add something like that, and that does kind of encourage this community aspect. You can't ever
Right.
play against someone. In my experience in Pocket so far, assuming I'm like I haven't played in like any events or I've essentially never played in the private matches, but outside of private matches, where you're playing against someone, probably maybe talking to them outside of the game, you're not going to end up with a game and say like, oh, you know what, that was a cool person to interact with. You might think, oh, that was a good game, but that's the most you can get there.
Yeah, no, that's true. For sure. Yeah, the one thing I've noticed early, the first week, thanks, I would like 95% of the time. Thanks are 60, 50% of the time now after games. I always
Do
say
you
thanks.
always thanks?
I
I don't
do.
always say
I
thanks. I
forgot like
sometimes do.
once or twice and I feel bad, but I always do because look, we're in this economy together. We should,
I guess
that's the way I look at it. We want to be a community, we want to be positive.
we do. Yeah.
And it's a saying of thanks, and it does right. It helps people get things in things, and it's not like
It does.
I
Yeah.
don't, I want you to get things. It helps me get things. That should be the attitude we have. Um,
Yeah. I usually thanks.
and I always say thanks for Wonder Picks, and I'm friendly. If someone makes a friend request at this point, I say yes. I think you say
Well,
no.
that's because you want. Yeah. Well, I don't like if you know me. Like, so if I have my friend code in, I think my Discord server, you can find it. You can friend request me. Tell me who you are though. I like my friends. I don't really know exactly who they are. I keep so, and this is like a YouTube comment thing. If you're in my YouTube channel and my YouTube comment section, then you also are in my Discord server. And if your names are completely different, tell me your name in one or the other, so I know who you are. Like, um, yeah, there's some people like my name is essentially always 10 types. There might be places where it's not. I don't know. Certainly it wasn't always 10 types, but and like YouTube and Discord, it's 10 types there. But I've gotten there are people in Pocket and YouTube, my YouTube comments and in Discord and stuff, and I don't know like who's who. So yeah, but you can just if friend request me there and tell me, and I'll be like, yeah, that's cool. But um, like some random person after a match, like
I
I
say
don't know
yes.
you.
I
Yeah.
say yes. At this point,
So how many friends do you have?
I only have like 15 or something. I
I
don't
think I have
remember.
more friends than you.
You might.
Anyway,
So you
um,
can have 100. So I have time. At some point, I will probably thin things out. But also, look, like I said, part of it is that whole community showcase scenario, right? That's part of the thing. So having friends is what you need to that. And it will be a question with trading. Do you need friends for trading or not? Right? That will time will tell there too.
yeah. Oh, my friend also, the actual friend, said that he he's really happy that there's a like disapprove all button on the friends because he gets so many friend requests. And he doesn't even play that much. He's
Okay.
just like I don't know. I don't know if he gets more than me, but or if he just doesn't check it as much. But that is a thing. But anyway, like the community thing, it could be. I think like Pokemon's, I like the community, but Pocky doesn't necessarily have that community yet. It's still forming,
Right.
and it's forming outside of the game. And it's always if that could form in the game, that could be good. It could be bad, right? Pokemon needs to watch out, but it could be good. And
Yes.
something like Pokemon TCG Online had certain things like you had friends, but you'd actually like you'd trade with your friends and you could like play with your friends, and there was an in-game chat with friends, which
Right.
I ultimately think is okay. Like you're not gonna be playing it against friend matches against random people, really. I feel
Right.
like
Well,
you
although
could do it in a tournament, but in that at that point, that's also run through a tournament. So, um, yeah, I think
right.
that's like kind of separate
Right. So,
to
right,
me.
if it's a limitless tournament and someone's inappropriate, even in the in-game chat, you could report it to the tournament, and they probably would do something about it. Um, eh,
Yeah, so I think in that sense,
but
like you're trusting in I don't know. I understand that that is a thing where you would be playing against random people, but I think it would be cool to be able to
but uh,
I don't know.
but in Pocket right now, there is the no EX thing, which I don't know. I assume that's kind of user started. So
Yeah.
there it's a friend match against a random person, right? So
That's true, but that's a little different. Well, that's not that different. I don't know. That's that makes sense. I think that's like a different format that's fan created. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I don't think it's gonna last very long. I mean, I think it's kind of cool, but I think people are just gonna play EX in there. So, um,
that could be.
that's my
Well, the
prediction.
other question is right now there's no ranked mode. I think they're going to add that down the road because I know a lot of people want that and they do want to respond to what people want. So
Yeah.
is what's that going to do for the community? I know you're kind of the opinion that ranked mode leads to bad behavior, right? I
Yeah,
assume you.
it's not like the only thing. I think there could be the pros outweigh the cons, and I don't think the cons are like super bad. I don't think a rank mode turns a good community into a bad one all of a sudden, but I do think it makes things a little more toxic. And I've seen that. I've like definitely seen that. I in various different situations, which is like a little annoying. I think rank can be fun. The ranked mode, some people get confused by when I say this. There should be a hidden ranking, which there is in Pocket, I'm pretty sure, right?
I get well. There's also the beginner selection versus what TCG player, right? So
Yeah, I saw
beginner
people
might
were
not have
complaining
it.
about the beginner, that like they were just playing against people with like PTGX and V2EX when they like started their first game.
Yeah.
Um, and oh, also, so I was looking at some reviews in like the Google Play Store, and the top one said that the game was buggy. Have you had any like glitches? I've had some like mine um
N-
I had to like disconnect like once or something, but like it's been essentially fine for me.
It's been good. I think I've had a couple times where it glitched. I think it's been connected with opening products, and I guess I don't fully know if I lost anything or not. Obviously, if I was spending money and you're in the risk of losing something, that's a big deal for sure.
Yeah, but ultimately it's worked well. Like Live had always had a lot of bugs. I think Pocket hasn't really had bugs.
Yeah.
Um, if you look at the bugs and like there's the forums and the bugs and feedback is actually feedback. I forgot it was feedback because Live's bugs and feedback is only bugs. And all the other things are also only bug reports, like all of the different sections. So
Yeah.
um it's good to see. I think the game's working well, which is to be expected I guess. I mean, I've just been so used to games just not working. Pokemon, essentially, games just not working at all. So that's good to see.
Yeah, no, it's been a good start. I think they got from Pokemon's perspective, they got good numbers of people. I believe from all the reports I've heard, I don't know whether the money was amount that was good or not from their perspective. I don't know how much they got nor what they expected. What's the retention rate? A lot of new people try these things. A lot of people then stop playing, right? And you get a lot of new people at first, right? So it's more about player retention for a bit rather than growing. So I don't know how that's going to grow, and obviously we don't know how things are going to go going forward with the whole adding new cards, both in terms of keeping the game balanced, which it's reasonably balanced now. They need more cards for variety. Hopefully, they don't overpower
Yeah, and
things.
also more like good non-EXs, maybe non-EXs that aren't just getting one-shotted. Like Mewtwo EX is really strong. Trust EX one-shotting everything's fine, but I think Mewtwo EX, I would like to see it actually like do maybe 10 or 20 less.
Yeah, I assume they're not going to nerf cards though, right? I think they had said
No, or buff cards. I
right.
assume. I don't know if you mean both, but
I
yeah.
yeah, I would say both. They probably they could print hard counters, and they could print counters quickly if need be. Though that's the one thing I would say, right? Like if something, if Pikachu was way too powerful, they would probably they could even just have a special event and give out like that counter, right? If they had
Yeah,
to.
ultimately, weakness isn't as good of a counter as well, which is kind of interesting to note.
Right.
But there aren't any cards that are like, or there are a few that are colorless text, but they're not that common. But it doesn't matter as much because of weaknesses, reduced damage increase.
Right. Or yeah, I mean there's obviously there's less things. We don't have tools or stadiums, so those
Yeah, though
aren't
I think we will have tools. I'm pretty sure that's
yeah, there was something referencing tools, right? I think you said
yeah,
someplace. So,
yeah,
but
and there's like a search option. I think that's tools. It could be a different type of trainer, but I think that's what it was.
okay. Yeah. So, so they have options for counters if need be, but that's why I think they're going to they've kept things kind of vanilla. I think they should keep things vanilla for a bit, but just, if they add another set of cards comparable to these, we have a lot more deck combinations to me, and things get a lot more interesting, right? Plus, we need some
The
good,
game will like they need to watch out for what they add as well because right now the game's in a solid state. But if
yeah.
they just add in 200 more cards, the game's
Well,
just gonna be really like tossed up, which could be cool, but also
yeah.
is like a lot. So maybe adding stuff slowly might be really good as well. Um,
Oh,
or just like less things at a time.
yeah. Now, one of the things though, if for this game you're not going to have access to the new cards quickly if you're a free to play person, which I assume is most people, and will continue to be most people. So most players aren't going to get the new decks right away because you can't. So that's one thing
Yeah.
to slow it down. But
Except
yeah,
for all my opponents. Like in PTCGO, it's like most people are free to play, but the people I played
yeah.
against always had all the new stuff day one. It was like they had like max rarity, whatever, and it's like how do I don't know. Maybe I'm just really good, or maybe I'm really bad, and I'm against all like the collectors who don't like actually play the game. I think Pocket has done a good job of mixing together the collecting and playing community, though. Like in fact, I know a lot of people who are um, or not a ton, but like a good few people who are video game fans, Pokemon video game fans
Yeah.
who haven't played the TCG, who have then played Pocket and gotten into it and like enjoyed playing Pocket and collecting Pocket and all that.
Yeah, which is good, and that's what we want to see. And if in terms of the TCG, I know we've been going a while, so we should be starting to wrap up, I assume.
Eh.
Because we're going to talk decks. I don't think we're going to start talking decks now,
No, I
right?
don't think we're talking
So,
decks.
but we have an idea for next podcast then potentially because we've been wondering what to talk about. So, two things. One, for just if you gotten this far listening, thank you. If you want to hear what do you want to hear about Pocket, just let us know about that. I think we will talk
Yeah, or
decks in
whatever.
the
Not doesn't
future.
need to be Pocket necessarily.
Right. But in terms of the TCG to benefit from Pocket, right? There's new people playing the Pocket TCG, and they're gonna hopeful. A lot of some of these people are gonna try it live, and the Pokemon needs to get live better, right? Because if you're playing Pocket, you play live, you're probably not gonna last very long in it. So
Yeah, I think live, if you're not looking, if you like someone didn't tell you that live is really bad and you played it, you'd be like, oh, you'd notice a few bad things, but you wouldn't be um, like if you're just a random person, you might not think live is terrible.
yeah,
If you don't have anything to compare it to. But I guess comparing it to Pocket, but Pocket has flaws as well. So I don't think like
right.
there'll be a lot of things they'll be like, oh wow, this is so cool playing with all these new cards. And
Well,
I don't know. I think you'll be in awe for a little while, and then you might get burnt out before you realize that live is really bad. But
right.
yeah, live does need to improve. Like it's not something that really grabs people. The way Pocket is trying to do and is kind of doing.
Yeah, I mean, and if you just played Pocket, you switch to Live, you're actually going to appreciate some of the. You're going to feel like Live is adding features to you, right? Whereas from where we came
Yeah.
from, we feel like Live is bad, but like you'd feel like the deck builder is good, right? Because like in Pocket, the deck builder I think is one of the weak points. Just
Oh yeah, it's kind of weird. It's you have to click through lots of tabs to get to it, and there's only 15 decks. That's a problem. That's a really
right,
that's not a problem right now. I think like right now 15 decks is a fair amount of decks to have, but
and
oh, and same thing. Like, there's a level cap of 50, which is like really far away. I haven't seen anyone over 30,
okay,
but eventually that could be like in 3 years from now. If the level cap's 50, then you're not getting anything. So
yeah, that's a
there are
problem.
things that so they need to with the next set need to increase the deck. I think they should make it unlimited decks. I don't know if that's an issue. Um,
Yeah,
or
I mean,
maybe 100. I think 100 would be. for now would be like a pretty solid
Yeah.
number to
I mean,
aim
there's
for.
two things with it. Well, first off, and you also need to be able to copy deck lists. Like if I want to modify a list, I have to either change my deck and lose the original one, or I have to start from scratch again, right? I should be
It's
able to,
not that hard
I
to
should be
like
able to,
duplicate the list though. It takes
yeah.
like a minute.
But I should have a button clone copy deck, right? I mean, that's not too hard to do either.
Yeah.
Um, but the problem with deck list twofold. One is it is a I don't know at what point the server issue for them is, because
Yeah.
servers are money. They have money, but they want to be careful with it. But also, they want the game to work on a lot of different devices, right? And obviously, we have both decent phones, relatively good phones, but there's people with not so good phones and not so good connections. So you want it to work on that. So at what point, if you have hundreds of decks, is it going to overload devices too? So
Yeah, but like PTCGO, you could so in live you can add. There's a limit of cards you can add in Pocket as well.
yeah,
PTCGO you could add as many as you wanted to a deck, and eventually it would like slow down. But you could have
yes.
the option to do that. You could add in 100 unique cards, then it would get slow. So you need to realize, oh, okay, this isn't working, so I guess gotta pull back. Anyway, yeah.
So
But I think that's all for today's podcast. Anything you want us to add on to that?
no, look, Pocket's in a good place. All in all, it's we're enjoying it. I think we're both going to still play Pocket. We're going to both play the regular TCG, and we'll talk about both. So let us know. You can let us know your thoughts too between the two. I kind of look at Pocket. Is kind of like the theme format since live is one format too. That's kind of how I look at it. It's a positive experience all in
There are
all.
theme decks in Pocket.
There are. I haven't actually played any of those rental
No, I
decks,
haven't played it. Yeah.
nor tried to build. I think one of the theme decks I now have all 20 cards, and I could
Yeah.
copy it or something, but I haven't done that either. So,
Mhm.
but anyway, happy with Pocket, and looking forward to see what's going to happen as we get a new set probably in a week or two. So hopefully that all goes well and doesn't make things too pay to win, obviously as well. And just hope take care and like, comment, subscribe to both our channels. The place to comment is in YouTube. 10 types for his, or Uncommon Fossil for myself. So look and subscribe to both. You can comment depending who you want to talk to. Uncommon Fossils is spelled with only one M. So I just want to mention that. I haven't said that in a while. And anyway, take care. Hope you like this podcast and have some fun playing Pokemon.
See ya.